Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Diaries channel. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The cameras were rolling, the atmosphere looked normal, and everyone played their part. But if you watched closely, if you really watched, you could feel it. A subtle shift in the air. A hesitation where there shouldn't have been one. This was a moment that didn't go according to plan. Someone stepped in. Positions changed. Conversations were interrupted. What had been natural suddenly felt managed. And in that quiet interference, something fragile was exposed. Jimin noticed first. He always does. His expression stayed calm, but his energy softened, as if he understood exactly what was happening without needing it explained. Jungkook felt it next. You could see it in the way his focus drifted, in how his body moved where it was told but his eyes didn't follow. They tried to keep things ordinary. They tried to keep things professional. But emotion doesn't disappear just because it's inconvenient. Every time distance was placed between them, Jungkook looked back. Not dramatically, not obviously, just enough to reveal where his attention truly was. And every time their eyes met, Jimin responded in the smallest, strongest way possible with reassurance. No words were exchanged. No gestures were exaggerated. Yet the connection remained painfully visible. This wasn't about what they did. It was about what they couldn't stop doing. About how comfort finds its way through restrictions. About how care survives even when it's told to stay quiet. Staff tried to control the moment, but Jimin and Jungkook failed to hide what was already written into them. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. There are moments in the world of idols that feel heavier than they should. Moments when the air changes, when smiles tighten just a little, and when eyes speak more than words ever could. This is one of those moments. A moment where love didn't disappear but was gently, painfully pushed into the shadows. And even then, Jimin and Jungkook still couldn't hide it. From the outside, it looked subtle. A small adjustment here, a quiet cue from the staff there, a sudden change in camera angle. But for those who truly watch Jikook, who understand the language of their silence and the weight of their pauses, it was impossible not to notice. Something happened. Something was being controlled. And yet, something was still slipping through. Jimin has always been expressive in the quietest ways. His care doesn't shout. It settles. It lingers in proximity, in soft glances, in the way he positions himself just close enough to be felt. Jungkook, on the other hand, has never been good at hiding what his heart is doing. His emotions live in his eyes, in his posture, in the way his energy changes when Jimin is near. And that is exactly why this moment felt so heartbreaking. There was a visible effort to separate them. Not dramatically, not obviously, just enough to interrupt the natural flow they've always had. Jungkook was guided away mid-conversation. Jimin was redirected during a moment that felt unfinished. Their shared space was broken again and again, like someone pressing pause on something that wasn't meant to stop. But love doesn't understand cues. It doesn't follow instructions. And Jikook proved that without saying a single word. Even when staff intervened, Jungkook's eyes kept searching. You can see it clearly. Every time he was pulled elsewhere, his gaze went back to Jimin, as if his body moved on command but his heart refused to follow. There was frustration there, confusion, and something softer too, longing. That familiar Jungkook look that fans have come to recognize over the years. The one that only appears when Jimin is involved. Jimin noticed. Of course he did. Jimin always notices. His expression didn't change much, but his energy did. He grew quieter, more contained, like someone holding back words they weren't allowed to say. And yet, when Jungkook looked at him, Jimin responded, not with grand gestures, but with reassurance. A tiny nod, a gentle smile, a look that says, I'm still here. That's the part that hurts the most. Not that they were separated, but that they tried so hard to stay connected anyway. There's a certain kind of pain that comes from watching two people who are clearly each other's comfort being told silently to step away. It's not loud. It doesn't cause a scene, but it leaves marks. You can see it in how Jungkook's shoulders stiffened, in how Jimin's hands fidget more than usual, in the way their laughter felt shorter, like it was being cut off before it could fully exist. And yet, despite everything, they failed to hide their love. Because even when they weren't standing next to each other, their attention remained locked. Jungkook reacted to Jimin's voice before anyone else's. Jimin instinctively turned toward Jungkook even when he wasn't supposed to. Their timing was still synchronized. Their awareness of each other never faded. It was as if an invisible thread kept pulling them back, no matter how many times someone tried to cut it. What makes Jikook different isn't just closeness. It's consistency. Years of shared history, of growth, of becoming adults side by side. That kind of bond doesn't vanish under pressure. It adapts, finds new ways to exist. And that's exactly what we witnessed here. Instead of obvious affection, there were micro-moments. A breath held a little longer when they make eye contact. A smile that appears only after confirming the other is okay. Jungkook relaxed the second Jimin re-entered his line of sight. Jimin subtly mirrors Jungkook's movements, like grounding him without touch. Staff could move them physically, but emotionally, they never stood a chance. And that's what makes this moment so bittersweet. Because it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't explosive. It was quiet resistance. Love chooses to exist anyway, even when it's told to shrink. Especially then. Fans didn't imagine this. They felt it. The tension, the restraint, the effort to appear normal while something deeply personal was being managed from the outside. And the reason it stands out so clearly is because Jikook, at their core, has never been about performance. Their connection has always been natural, almost accidental in how it reveals itself. That's why attempts to silence it only make it louder. Jungkook isn't good at pretending Jimin doesn't matter. His eyes betray him every time. And Jimin isn't someone who abandons the people he loves just because it's inconvenient. Even under pressure, even when being watched, he remains steady, present, loyal. There was no rebellion here, no defiance. Just two people continuing to care for each other in the only ways they were allowed to. And somehow that felt more powerful than anything else. Because love doesn't need permission to exist. And Jikook proved that, once again, not by being loud but by refusing to disappear. When the moment ended, nothing was resolved. Nothing was explained, but something was left behind. A feeling, a shared understanding between them that no one else could touch. And for those who saw it, truly saw it, it was impossible to forget. Staff tried to silence Jikook, but Jimin and Jungkook failed to hide their love. And maybe, just maybe, that's because some connections are too real to be controlled. And maybe that's why this moment stays with us. Not because it was loud or dramatic, but because it was restrained. Because it showed us something real, something that existed even when it wasn't allowed to fully breathe. Jimin and Jungkook didn't explain anything. They didn't need to. What we saw lived in the pauses, the glances, the quiet understanding that couldn't be interrupted no matter how carefully the situation was managed. Some connections don't disappear when they're pushed aside. They simply find quieter ways to exist. If this moment made you feel something, if you noticed the shift, the tension, the way they still found each other without touching, then you weren't imagining it. You were witnessing years of trust, comfort, and affection that can't be switched off on command. Thank you for staying until the end and sharing this space with us. If you felt the same emotion we did, let us know in the comments. Your thoughts matter here. And if you want to keep exploring these quiet Jikook moments, the ones that don't scream but stay with you long after, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, keep watching closely, because some stories aren't told out loud, they're felt.